And a good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. As always, welcome to Stories Written by a Current Prisoner. Happy holidays, ladies and gentlemen. Unfortunately, we have some quietly upsetting, disturbing news. It just does not stop the trend. What is the new trend? Mobsters being murdered. You know, how many is that? Is that five in the past year and a half or so? Without further more ado, man, I'm going to let you take over, man, and let us know, man, exactly what it is that happened. I know you told me that this happened a week ago. It hasn't been published. There hasn't been no news about it, man, but I'm going to go ahead and let you let people know what it is that happened.
All right. Hey, well, we're gonna start this first off, and I hope everybody's blessed and have some wonderful holidays with family. And well, this is sweet and sour news to me. Like just recently they killed Daryl from Ontario Black Angels or the Pili. And like I've been saying in my stories, he was out here wiggling. He was doing things heavy. For those that know him, yeah, it's nothing compared to what he was doing in Cali. He was really heavyweight out here. He had a whole state under his belt, uh, and whatever carried that, for the Sinaloas. And just recently, well, a week ago, I got called and saying they were moving in on him. It's when I shot you that picture, and later on they told me they had either killed him or picked him up. Right? They didn't know. So I think the next day or the day after is when they informed me that to go ahead and look, and they ended up hanging him on a bridge. And like I said, it's sweet and sour because I worked for this individual here for 2 years, and before that I was with him in Corcoran Shoe, and he was actually the reason why I stepped back. But yeah, he was out here wiggling, and the big old war that's happening right now with the Nini and the Chapitos, it's taking a lot of people with them. For example, a lot of people don't tie these knots, but the Chapitos turned in and Nini, and Nini had a lot of strong followers that are pushing back. They're not tolerating because it's Mexico. It's always been Mexico. Especially Sinaloa. Once one other sicario starts picking up a lot of power, they ended up turning them into the Marines to get killed, which I think that's the idea, what they wanted this time, but it didn't work out that way. And they just got tired of it, I think, and for example, the first retaliation they did was with El Mago, and this goes to show to everybody how easy the Pilis flip flop. 1 minute they're with some type of individuals, then the Ninis come in and offer better hal, a little bit more feria, then they turn on them and they ended up killing El Mago out there. And yeah, this happened in Piedras Negras here where they went after Daryl and his crew, and they ended up picking him, and he's a legend, that to this individual you could give him that title because he made it happen wherever he was at, and like I said, I was with him for a couple years here in person, nothing like, and he had a lot of power. I'm talking about, you guys couldn't even put your head around the type of power he had, and just recently, they went in to revenge of what the Chapitos did, and they took it out because he was a jefe de plaza out there in Piedras Negras for them, and they picked him up. I'm assuming they tortured him, and I don't know how, but he ended up hanged on a bridge.
Going back to Daryl, man, it's crazy. His story, his whole story is crazy because initially he was charged with murder of another Mexican mafia member, Frankie B. If I'm not mistaken, way
Mm-hmm.
back in 2006, his murder took place out there in Pomona. He went to court for 3 years, steadily. However, he managed to post $1 million bail. How does someone
Yeah.
come up with $1 million bill? Is this pocket change for these individuals?
Oh, first off, hell yeah. Just off the top, like for years, Daryl, he's been number one out there in that little area. Ontario, Fontana, that area. There's other Pilis, but everybody knew he was the old man from Ontario. The one. That's one. Two, I remember when we were in Corcoran, uh, right before he was about to parole, it was like a given. His wife won the lottery. I mean, she cashed in, and that's when he did his thing. Boom, and they ended up pulling him over for the Frank B, and he posted bail. He had the banks. It's just like we were talking the other time about the other individual. It's just luck. Sometimes luck stands on people's side. And just imagine, he came to Mexico and he opened up his line to the point where he was put like not just sicario like all these other cats, but he was jefe de plaza.
Would you be able to describe his persona, his aura, his personality, the way he carried himself, his mannerisms?
Well, to keep it 100 with you guys, he was a cool person to be around, man. You know, you could actually sit down and have a conversation with him. If you had something on your mind, he would literally sit down and have that conversation with you to try to at least show you that camaraderie or that brotherhood that and yeah, he was firm on things, but he wasn't like pendejo firm. You know what I mean? Like try to push his bully on you. He was good people, man. He used to. Well, at least if you were a camarada, he would invite you over and where to his personal spot, and he was good people, man. But at the end of the day, he was one of them. He turned out to be greedy too. And I will touch on that. On why I pulled out and But yeah, he was good people, man. When you were around him, it made you literally, it took you from a spot where you were constantly amongst individuals that were at each other's throat to see an individual that was there and looking out always for his brothers, and just to see that he wasn't doing things to get over on people. It was something that made me stay in longer, up until the point that it turned out not to be as I thought. They're all snakes one way or another. I'll just leave it at that.
How did this individual manage to rise to such a leadership position out there in foreign territory in Mexico?
Yeah, well, you see, my boy, that I don't know the full details because this happened before I got out here, but I can imagine it's because him and for example, him, Toro, and them, they always been cooks, man. They always been about moving jale, and one way or another, they were probably he was already touched in with them, in one way or another, and material wise, and when he came out here, he probably just met up with a couple of people he was moving jale, and since Daryl had literally the manpower to move the jale in the States, he started opening doors just like all these cats do when they come out here. They start with, okay, you're going to buy from me. You're not going to sell here. You're just going to sell your stuff in the state. And you start little by little up until the point where, Sonora was his. Literally, that was his. So I couldn't really tell you how he went up in power. I'll tell you this, though. There's been a lot of pilis on here. And from Pulp Boy, from San Diego, and Daryl, I haven't met another Pili that had that much power, man.
Who was that individual that you just recently stated from San Diego?
Popoy from Logan Heights when he was with the Arellanos.
Oh, Popeye.
Yeah, he had a lot of power, but he was loved by the Arellanos, you know. And but there was a whole different thing, man. Well, he was, excuse me, he was different, you know. He had a lot of power, my boy. I'm telling you, when I got here from the States, when I met up with him over there, it was like we were gonna get dumped on, my boy. We were gonna get it, cause a gang of trucks pulled in. You like literally a gang of trucks with sicarios on the back, and they went in first to check everything was clear. Then he drove up, my boy. He had a lot of people watching out for him. He had power out here.
Yeah, man. Without a doubt, it's a trip how these mobsters, as you stated, man. There's a lot of them out there, man. Of course, we only hear about those ones, like you said, Popeye. You hear about the Bat. You know, you hear about
Yeah,
Evil. You know, Daryl. But
yeah,
but as you stated, there's a lot more down there, right?
man. There's a gang of them, and they're constantly making them out here. And when they put them up for to get made out here, they get made right away because they look at it like that, they're going to be sending Holly over there. So all the pilis over there on that side, they look at it like they're going to gang from it. So they okay it right away. There's a gang. I could just off the hat right now. You go out towards Tamaulipas, you got Crocodile. He's from South Central, and then you got the homie from Carnales, and you have another Pili. He's from East LA. I don't remember what clique. They call him Boy. And then you go down to Jalisco, and you got Sappo. Yeah, Rudy's crew just recently made one. And then remember I sent you a link to where they busted one where he went against the Marines. Well, he's out there now. They let him out. Grumps. They're all Pilis. And then over here in Sinaloa, you had at one time you had Richie, Mono, Tweety wasn't a carnal, and you had that old man from Lincoln Heights. It's a gang of them out here, my boy. A lot.
Besides Daryl, besides Popeye, who else is really doing it big out there?
Right now, Sappo from Pacoima, but it's not the Sappo that everybody's used to hearing. That old man Sappo that's busted. It's Sappo from Pacoima. I believe he's from Latin times. Yeah, I think he's from Latin times. He's out there in Valles. Is it Valles? Yeah, he's in Valles, which is Manteca. Manteca, Tula, Tequila. All that little area. Zapopan. That's all him, my boy. I'm literally talking. That's all him. He's the boss, and you're talking about a big area, man. A big area. Jalisco's big, and actually, right now they're talking about he's the second in command of the whole cartel. Now you're talking about Jalisco Nueva Generación. So you want to talk about power? Just imagine that, my boy. The second in command is a big homie, Sappo from Pacoma Latin times, of the whole cartel.
Wow, that's mind-boggling. That's crazy. That's crazy, man.
Yeah.
Just the amount of violence, or just what drives an individual, man, to want that type of power.
Man, I think that's one of the key points of them becoming a carnal. They're power hungry all the time. I mean, just look at the states. They're always politicking against each other because one's getting 2 cents more than the next man. Or he's getting a cuartito more a carga than the next man is. They're always politicking. They're power hungry. A lot of people say they're money hungry. Nah, they ain't. They're power hungry. They want to be on top always. Yeah, keep you guys keep your eyes out for Sappo. You know, he's already coming out in a lot of things where they talking about a mental goals is going to take over the whole cartel. So just really analyze that, you know. Really look into what Jalisco Nueva Generación is and just imagine that type of power he has.
Besides him, who else is doing it big? One last person. Who else is kind of doing it hard out there?
Well, big, you know. Also, Mansano. I don't know if you heard of that name, or a lot of people know him as Bago. You know, Bago. He's from out there. He's from the Valle Imperial, but he's more down towards Veracruz and all that area, Oaxaca, all towards that area. But he's doing it big too. You know, he's moving things, but he's having resistance not from the cartels, but from MS. You know.
Ralph, what are you incarcerated for? How long is your sentence?
Is there MS in Mexico?
Yeah, hell yeah, there is. Yeah, they got squats out here, and you know, like him, he has a lot of power, man. He moves a lot of jale. He's not like Sappo per se on the cartel, but he moves a lot of jale. You know, and basically MS, they feel like they have that little area too. You know, they want money, and right now they're getting the boot out from El Salvador, so there's more coming out this way. But yeah, hell yeah, there is. There's pockets out here.
You know, that was just that's actually a very good topic right there. You know, as we know, there's been over 60,000 people that have been detained out there in El Salvador, and I think Honduras, if I'm not mistaken, is doing the same thing. So I'm sure a lot of people are fleeing. You know, making their way up north.
Yeah, hell yeah, yeah. There's pockets, like I said, and what they do is they offer their service to certain cartels. You know. Like there's a pocket up way up here, my boy, where the Zetas are at, Tamaulipas in this area, you know, Reynoso and all that. And they work under the Zetas, you know, and Zeta sends them in to open house. Basically, you know, if you look at it from a smart point of view, the Zeta sends them in like dummies, you know, like pawns. They send them in case there's somebody in there to receive people, so they get killed first and they could come in secondly, you know. But anyways, they got nothing to lose, so they do that. They're pockets, but they basically they rent themselves to cartels like a strong arm, you know.
Understanding of how it is you grew up, man. Did you go through any traumatic experiences as a young child that changed you? You know, what was your upbringing like?
Yeah, my boy, it's fucking nuts. It trips me out how they operate out there in Mexico, like the cartel, like the hit squads, the specialized teams.
Yeah, it's a trip, you know. It's like Mexico's a trip even more because without a doubt the cartels run Mexico, period. You know what I mean? But every state is different. Every state is different, my boy. When you go in one state, your best options is to keep your ears open and pay attention to how things are, because what you think is okay in one state, the next state it ain't gonna be, you know. It's just Mexico. It's different. It's a lot of different groups wiggling, and like I said, you know, there's a state out there in Oaxaca. There's two cities that literally, my boy, is homies going against MS. It's cartel movement, you could say, but there's no cartel involved. It's just homies backing up Bago under Bago's orders, going against MS. That's it. You know, it's different. It's all different out here. My boy is different than what we used to over there.
And from your understanding, where did MS originate? In El Salvador or here in the U.S.?
Nah, MS started in West LA, you know. It started in West LA. It just once the Mano Negra pulled out from El
Did you get
Salvador and they
involved with
started
any type
deporting
of
them, it just became a whole
gangs
different
operation?
animal
Like, what
down
is
here.
there
Now
gangs
it's just,
in the city
you
of
know,
LA?
El Salvador and Guatemala, Honduras, Costa Rica, all that little area is it's filled with them, you know. And like I said, the states of Veracruz and all Yucatan, all those little states at the border, they're all packed with them too.
Yeah, yeah, that's the same thing with 18th Street, man. It started, from my understanding, right here in the LA area, and it's a trip how you even the blood gangs and the Crip gangs, how different cities, how different states, you know, even out there East Coast, so you New York, Florida, there's Bloods, there's Crips, however, all that started in California, but people just follow the trends, and
Yeah,
that's what's crazy.
yeah, yeah. You know, it's crazy, crazy because yeah, most of the things came out from LA. You know, like you say, the Bloods and they're everywhere now. You know, Cribs too. You know, a lot of the things started like
So
18th
take me
Street.
there
18th Street is everywhere, my
for a
boy.
few weeks,
You know.
maybe a month before your case.
You know, you
What is
you
going
being
on in
from
your life? What are you doing? And can
Northern
you please
California,
explain
I'm
to me
sure, like you said, you've
how it
never
is
heard
your whole
of
world
people from Southern
turned
California
upside
kind
down?
of
How the heck
looking
did you
down upon you
actually
just because you are from Northern
disenfranchised
California, even
yourself?
though I've heard that before
Yeah.
that some people do. You know,
Uh-huh.
what is your perspective about out of state sureños, like people from Mississippi or from wherever, Vermont or Utah sureños? Are they respected as well as or as the same as people from California?
Nah, my boy. Yeah, there's a lot of funny cats. You know. That's all I'm gonna say about. You know, a lot of people say, "Oh, the sureños from down south, they do this." Nah, they ain't sureños. You know, they're funny ass cats. They don't know what the causa is, and they don't know nothing. And me personally, you could be from out of state, whatever. You were claiming Sur 13. You were part of us, period. You know, and I seen a lot of videos of people getting on here and talking about, yeah, I seen them treat him bad and all this and that. And come on, first and foremost, you were on the other side. So how the hell are you going to know what the conversations of Sureños are happening? That's one. Two is there's weenies everywhere, my boy. You know? And for example, I've been on yards where, let's just say, Centro Valle or that area from over here is deeper. And there's vatos from San Diego or LA. I'm going to tell you straight up, my boy. When I was in the shoe, when we still had group yards, you know, I had that yard and I was a dumbass, my boy. There was weenies sometimes hit the yard like Ben from San Diego. I could name a whole bunch of people. They were straight weenies, and I used to clown them. And I used to say, "Oh, it's because you're from San Diego. Oh, you're because of this." You know what I mean? It's just dumb things. But if you put up with it, they're gonna do it to you. Period. You know. But if someone says something you don't like, my boy, you go get your pedazo. You take care of business. Ain't nobody gonna speak about it no more. You know.
And there it is, ladies and gentlemen. That was just a quick little spill. You know, just a quick little conversation about Daryl and a few other topics, man. And as always, my friend, I really appreciate your presence and thank you for blessing us with your time and the peace of your mind.
Nah, thank you, Tony. And first off, thank you, everyone, for you guys' prayers as always. Dispense on my house hasn't been too well, so I haven't been on the comments, but I send my love, my prayers to everyone, and I hope this Christmas, New Year, there's blessings and there's a lot more to come next year. God bless everyone.
Bam.